It's the Mustang Insider Show. Now, here's Chris Sylvester, the voice of the Mustangs.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Mustang Insider. The college basketball season is in full swing, and what a crowd we had over the weekend for the Blue-Green rivalry on the men's side, a sold-out Mott Athletic Center. The environment was terrific, the atmosphere out of this world. The only thing missing was a victory, and Cal Poly came oh so close, erasing a double-figure first-half deficit to come on back and tie the game late. Unfortunately for the Mustangs, coming up just short against the rival Gauchos, but you could just tell that men's team on the cusp of breaking through in a big way. They need to string together some victories here down the stretch of the Big West season, and certainly have shown flashes that they're capable. Just sometimes feels like you need to get one and then they'll start rolling out. So for the men's team, another home game coming up here Thursday against UC Davis. The women's team will be back Saturday against UC Irvine. They will head north to Davis and take on the Aggies for a second time this season, about to be joined by the reigning Big West Conference Player of the Week, senior Annika Shah, one of the nation's top three-point shooters, one of the top scorers in the Big West Conference. And my goodness, she has developed into a superstar with the Cal Poly women's basketball program. Before we get to Annika Shah and catch up on all things women's basketball at Cal Poly, as always, we've got to plug our friends at Dignity Health French Hospital Medical Center, proud supporters of the Mustang Insider. To learn more, visit dignityhealth.org/French Hospital. All right, Annika Shah is with us here on Mustang Insider. Just took home her second Big West Player of the Week award, second time in the last month. Also did it at the close of the 2024 calendar year with big games against Seattle and Southern Utah. Annika, appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to jump on and talk some basketball with us. Nothing better than going down south and beating the Gauchos, am I right?
I mean, there's literally nothing better than that feeling.
And I know you guys had a what was it, overtime loss there last year, almost had
We
them, and
did,
then
yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
I've never won at the Thunderdome until a couple days ago. So it was such a great feeling, senior year. Shout out Ashley Hiraki for her amazing layup at the end and one. But it was a really big team effort. We knew going in it was going to be a tight game. You know, they're a great program, a great team under their new head coach, and they have some really talented players. So we really had to dig in and lock into the scout. But I'm really proud of our team. You know, they went on runs, we went on runs, but we stayed the same G's and continued to respond.
Ashley Hiraki, the only transfer portal addition that this team made in the offseason. How unique is this team, maybe compared to the last few? Obviously, your first season was Faith Mimnaw's final year as Cal Poly's head coach, wrapping up a phenomenal career. And then you guys kind of had to wait, at least you and Sid and some of the others that have stuck around um, through both head coaches here through your time. There were a lot of question marks when that job was vacant, and then Chanel comes in and you have to start a relationship with her, get to know her. She kind of gave everybody on the roster that first year a chance to kind of prove themselves. um, what's unique about this team now that you're a senior and you're looked up to by a lot of these young players?
Yeah, I think as you were mentioning, just kind of going through that process of Coach Stars comes in and finding out how to understand the values that she's trying to install and how to really apply everything that she's teaching us. You know, now since I've hit my third year under her, I think, the difference that our team has this year is that senior group leadership. Now we have, people that have been, obviously me and Sid are in Sierra are the long-term 3-year people that have had 3 years with Coach Dyers, but now you have Sydney Richards, 2 years under Coach Dyers. You have, even some of the younger girls that were freshmen last year that are really have great leadership qualities that are kind of stepping into roles because obviously, this senior group that we have right now is not going to be here next year, right? So um, I think that leadership and that senior group that we have, we had to learn how to build some chemistry with each other. Obviously losing Tal, Natalia Ackerman, and Anya and Amanda was a huge hit on us because not only did we love them as players but also as people, and they really bought into the culture that we have. But now, it's just about continue to apply our values and our culture even harder now that we understand it even more, right? Because every single year, you just continue to grow and continue to learn more and understand the culture that Coach Stars and this coaching staff is trying to implement into our program. So, the senior group, there's a lot of pressure on us, which is great. Pressure is a privilege, and we have to continue to stay consistent every single day and continue to lead and, make sure that our younger group are, because, we have a lot of freshmen, continue to learn every single day and just continue to grow because, we're going to need a couple of them to step up as we get down the stretch, to later on in the season.
You've blossomed into one of the best three-point shooters in the country. You average more than three makes a game. You had seven career high 27 points in that win at home against UC San Diego last week. And you've been on the floor a ton. I mean, 36 minutes against the Tritons, 38 against the Gauchos. If you could go back in time and tell your freshman self that you were doing this and accomplishing the things that you have here in your senior year, but is that something you'd be pretty satisfied with? Have you exceeded your own internal expectations? I know you're a team first player, but you have to at least reflect a little bit on what the journey's been these
Sure,
three
yeah.
years at Poly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people that continue to keep pushing myself to elevate my goals. But to be at where I am now, especially looking back at my freshman year self, where you're kind of trying to figure yourself out, and you're in this new program, and college, hits academically, and you have to kind of figure it out. I'm really proud of how I responded to all the adversity and the change that. Uh, I had to go through. And, that kind of has always been my mindset, just to attack everything and have a good mindset and have a good attitude and be willing to learn, but also not being satisfied with wherever you're at. So, partially to answer your question, I think I can still do more, and I totally can be more consistent. Uh, but it's also important to kind of take a step back and be proud of all that you've accomplished, and especially looking back to my younger self. Uh, I never really, I always had goals and believed in myself, but to be where I am now, I'm just really proud of how far I've come.
Our athletic director, Don Oberhelm, and I'm convinced that you've been his favorite student athlete to watch the last 4 years. I'll never forget him coming up to me at the Big West tournament your freshman year. And I had only done all the men's games, and I started calling some women's games when Chanel got the job on ESPN Plus at home. But I was doing the Big West tournament game that you guys had against Fullerton, and I remember him coming up to me before the game and just being like, "Man, have you seen Annika Shah play? Man, she's going to be a great player. Just the way she hustles, the energy that she plays with is infectious." And obviously, we've seen that come to fruition here down the stretch of your career. You're 5'3", right? You're from Palo
Yeah,
Alto, California.
on a good
On a
day, I'm
good
five.
day. So you're, yeah, generously 5'3".
Yeah.
You missed your junior year of high school
Mhm.
basketball with the knee injury. What was the recruiting process for you like coming out of high school? Why did you pick Cal Poly? And is there a sense of like a chip on your shoulder that you play with that maybe some other programs have overlooked you, other teams have overlooked you, whether it be in the recruiting process or just the scouting process when they play you? Do
Yeah.
you play with like a little bit extra sometimes?
I mean, no doubt. Of course, I have always been, not necessarily looked at, under scouted, under recruited. And it's kind of built that chip on my shoulder. I had a really good sophomore year, coming out of high school, and started to really get some interest. No offers yet, but I was close. And then I get hit with this, rigorous knee injury that sets you out for basically a year. And I had to call up every one of those coaches, a lot of which are in the Big West, and had to let them know that I'm going to be out for a year. And just to kind of go through that process, and they tell you that they're going to keep in touch with you, um, and be with you throughout this whole process, and then you never hear from them ever again. It kind of installs that I'm gonna get my get back, and I'm gonna prove you wrong. That you shied away, from giving me an opportunity. But at the end of the day, I'm also one of those people that believes that everything's a blessing in disguise. If I didn't go through that injury, I wouldn't have been at Cal Poly. And I'm so appreciative of every obstacle that's ever hit me in my life because it's made me into a better person, developed more hunger, installed in myself, and discipline, and so many other great qualities that have helped me learn and grow into the woman that I am today. And so when I got that call from Coach Faith and the rest of the coaching staff, and they offered me on a Zoom because COVID hit and we didn't have any official visits or anything like that. Uh, I don't think I could explain the emotion that not only I felt, but also my parents who were also in the Zoom with me. So um, I'm so appreciative of every opportunity that I get because I don't get a lot, and so that's why you have to give your all. And I knew when I was given this opportunity to play Division I basketball that had always been my dream, that I was going to give my all to Cal Poly. Whether it was coming in my freshman year and just being a good teammate because I didn't see the floor that much. And then, Coach Stars comes in, and that was another opportunity to kind of prove myself. And I'm so blessed to have gone through that whole journey because it's made me into a stronger person. It's put a chip on my shoulder, as you were saying, and it's made me want to represent Cal Poly harder than anyone else.
We talked about your three-point shooting, and you're approaching 150 career three-point makes in a Cal Poly uniform, and that's with, not as many attempts as you had averaged the last couple years. Like you said, your freshman season as you're kind of learning the system and sitting behind some older players. But I have to ask you about the free throws. Like you are electric at the free throw line to the tune of you've only missed a single digit amount of times in 4 years. Now you don't get to the free throw line a ton. It's not like you have a James Harden type of game where
Yeah.
like you're initiating a bunch of
I need to
content.
get there more. How about that?
Okay, I mean that's a good New Year's resolution. But
Yeah.
for how long have you been this good from the free throw line? And is that something that you had practiced from a young age, that shot in particular, or is it just such a comfortable feel for you that you don't really have to work on that outside of games?
Yeah, well, don't let's not jinx it too much right here. If
Okay,
if I miss
that's
one in the
fair.
next couple of days, I'll have to
That's on me.
apologize.
That's on me. That's
I'm
on me.
I'm kidding though. No, I think growing up since a young age, all the coaches that I've had some really good coaches growing up, and they would always tell me that there's one particular coach, my trainer actually right now, who would always tell me that if you miss free throws, it's disrespectful because it's like free money, right? It's free food. And so that kind of, I always kind of had a consequence if I didn't make a free throw, whether it's push-ups or running or something like that. And um specifically, like, after a long day at school or whatever, and I did my practice or anything, and I still wanted to go out into my backyard and shoot some shots, like I would shoot free throws. And I made my dad put up a chain net in our backyard so I can live the Michael Jordan Space Jam scene to life. But no, I think kind of just installing that pressure since a young age of like you got to make your free throws, and then also, there was times that I struggled at the free throw line. I want to say too, like I think it was my freshman year of high school and a little bit into my sophomore year of high school where I kind of struggled. And mechanically, I fixed some things. Widened my base, figured out a mantra to say in my head, and kind of a routine. But after that, I mean, it's kind of just mental, right? Like you can rep so much, and it's the same with three pointers. Like I can rep as much as I want to, and I do rep a lot, like just to put out there, but if you don't have the right mental game and the right mindset, then it's not going to go in. And so once you kind of figure out the clarity in your mind when you're at the line and you figure out a routine that kind of pushes all that, what you may say, like pressure and all these things that all the weight on your shoulders, then it just becomes another shot, right? It becomes another free throw. It becomes me just shooting in the backyard with my chain net.
Yeah, no, it goes back to that stuff. It's interesting that you share the chain net story. I know a lot of people that have aspired to do the chain instead of the nylon, so to speak,
Yeah.
especially with the outdoor hoop. I mean, you anything but double rims is what I've always said.
Oh,
But
yeah, no
I'd
double
imagine
rim.
I'd imagine double rims makes you a lot better. It makes
True, honestly, maybe I should put some in there.
well, we've got some local parks here in town, and I tell you
Yeah,
those double rims will keep you out there for a
they'll
while.
get you. They'll get you kicking balls.
I wanna ask you about some non-hoop stuff. What I always love when I do prep on teams and digging into players like beyond the numbers and if they might be related to somebody that played a sport at a high level. We've got in our bio for you that you're a first degree black belt in Taekwondo and you
Mhm.
play the guitar and drums. So you're majoring in business administration slash marketing. What does life look like for you outside of hoops? Like, what have you grown to love about the area? What are some of your hobbies? Are they still those type of things? Has that changed in your 4 years here? And what does life after Cal Poly look like for you? I know it's probably not something you want to think about right now, but it's had to be a conversation or two that you've had about it.
For sure. I mean, I I will say I'm a planner and I like to be really organized and plan for the future. So thinking about my, post grad plans is something that I think about on a consistent basis. But kind of going back, my parents did a great job for my brother and I to just, I mean, they both worked and they both worked a lot growing up. So they had to put us in every single activity. And, kind of a side story, but with Taekwondo, I didn't love it at first, but installed a lot of discipline, and it was something that I could do with my brother, and that's what a lot of these extracurriculars that I had was just because my parents were busy, and it was something for my brother and I to do together. We did everything together, even basketball, and I grew to love a lot of them. And so when I had to go through my black belt training, which took a year, uh, a lot of people ask me kind of what was the hardest thing you've ever done in your life? It was that because, at first I didn't want to do it, but then I realized I needed to do it. Uh, and I wanted to do it with my brother. But then going through that process, I mean, it was one of the difficult. I had to sacrifice a lot because it's a difficult process. And I am so probably that's, one of my proudest accomplishments right now to this day because to go through that at such a young age and to go through that discipline, that work ethic of like getting up and sacrificing time with friends and time with families because you had to get this done, um, is something that I was so proud to accomplish with my brother. But other than that, I will say I love music. I'm always listening to music. I love playing the guitar. I have my sparkly pink electric guitar just right over there in my room. I was playing it
I'm,
yesterday.
I'm not going to
Uh,
ask you. I'm not going to ask you to go get it and start playing for us.
I that would be so fun. We just turned this into a concert. But that was another thing I did with my brother. We would have recitals and concerts all the time. For our class, but also for, our family whenever they would come over. And that kind of music gives me a sense of peace. I listen to a lot of genres and, you know, music can kind of, music changes depending on your mood, right? And so a lot of times when I feel amped up and, basketball may feel stressful, school may feel stressful, I always revert back to, playing on the guitar or playing music or things like that. So I also play a little bit of the drums, the piano a little bit, the harmonica a little bit. So I like to spice in a little bit of everything here and there. I do sing a little bit too, but again, not gonna my voice isn't warmed up right now, so we
Okay,
can't
fair
do
enough.
it.
I know all.
Actually trying to pick up a new hobby. It's been kind of hard in season, but I want to really learn how to DJ. So I have a little DJ board right over here in my room, and we're just gonna try that out. Probably more when season ends. But other than that, slow. I think it's a hidden gem. I didn't even though I grew up in California, I didn't necessarily know a lot about slow. Just because family wise, I didn't have a lot of people that have visited here. You kind of know about the Santa Barbara. and wherever else UCs are. And recruiting wise and looking at schools outside of basketball, I was looking more at UCs and stuff. But then when I came to SLO, I was kind of blown away with how beautiful this area is, how amazing this community is. And so I love, love, love being outdoors, going with friends to watch sunsets, flying my drone at the dunes or at Shell Beach or at MDO. It's really a beautiful place, and having those outside activities too kind of helps you keep a good balance. Because you know basketball can get a lot, school can get a lot, and you need to have things outside of that kind of give you some peace of mind. Uh, and then kind of going to post grad life. I made the decision, after my junior year that I do want to pursue playing overseas basketball. So I'm in, the works right now to find an agent. And again, like I said before, I'm a huge planner, so I do things ahead of time. A lot of players will kind of wait until the season ends and spring quarter and kind of right before graduation to figure it out. But I want to create a relationship with my agent and make sure that's kind of set in stone. So I kind of I don't have necessarily a timeline. I also am kind of like a go with the flow kind of person. I like to plan, but then I also have this side of me that is like everything happens for a reason, right? And you kind of just see where life takes you. So I do want to play overseas basketball, hopefully in Europe. Specifically, I would love to be in Spain, but I'm trying not to be too set on any place just because it's a hard process and you have to be open. Um, but other than that, I kind of want to see how far basketball takes me until my body kind of wears out. And then it's kind of the working world. I'm studying business, concentrating in marketing. Sports marketing would be amazing. And I've done a couple internships in sports marketing. I'm also kind of pursuing sports broadcasting too, just because I love talking. I mean, I love doing this with you right now. So
Well said.
uh,
Yeah.
I do have an internship in that right now as well. So I'm kind of just having a Cal Poly learn by doing moment and putting myself out there in different career paths. I could possibly, maybe want to be an agent too, depending on how that situation goes out. Um, but I kind of seem like I'm all over the place, but I just have an open mind, and I life will figure itself out. Just continue to work hard, and wherever I am, you know, I'll be happy, and I'll make it work out.
There are a lot of young people your age that don't know what they want to do with their lives, and it
Yeah.
sounds like you have about 15 things that you would
I know.
maybe do. So that's a really good thing. It's a heck of a lot better than the alternative. I can tell
Yes, it
you
is.
that we'll leave the color analyst headset open for you if we can time up
There
your
we go.
season
There we go.
overseas and maybe some games here next year. Get you some.
Yeah.
You talk about putting your tape together as a student athlete. We're going to get you a color analyst reel put together, and we're going to send it out to like ESPN and Fox and all that. So
Yeah,
uh,
there we go.
yeah, that's terrific to hear. And I'm personally very happy to hear that you are looking to play professionally because Abby Ellis, who had come through here before. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
ever crossed paths, but she had obviously transferred up to Purdue, and
Yeah.
it helps that she's from Australia. I believe she's playing professionally over there. But there
Yeah.
there there are women your height that can shoot the heck out of a ball and that
Yeah.
make some money doing it. And there are expanded opportunities within women's basketball because of the popularity of the sport growing so much. I mean, WNBA is expanding. You've got this unrivaled league starting in Florida later this month. You've got the Athletes Unlimited. So there's a lot of opportunities, as there should be for women's basketball after college. So I'm really happy to hear those things. Obviously, mostly happy to hear about the broadcasting piece. And I think
Yeah.
our audience at this juncture of the interview, they know that you can carry yourself and talk for a little bit. But before we wrap, I want to talk about this team and this season a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, tough couple of games coming out of the new year at UC Irvine against Hawaii. Two really good defensive-minded head coaches and teams. But you guys were able to kind of turn a corner this last week, beating UC San Diego at home, and then obviously the aforementioned win at UC Santa Barbara. Now, as you get into this portion of the schedule where you're going to see Davis a second time, you're going to see Irvine a second time.
Yeah.
What's going to be the key to just stacking these wins and getting a good seed for Henderson?
Yeah, I mean, we got to just continue to lock into the little details and continue to get 1% better every single day and respond from areas where we can grow from the last couple games. Like with our Davis game, the first time we played them, like it was a pretty close game and we just couldn't capitalize offensively, but our defense was on point. And so, continuing to stay in the film room, obviously work in practice, but we have to kind of be creative with ways that we can score based on how teams are guarding us. And even with Irvine, we didn't have a great game against them, but there's always ways to learn and continue to improve. And I personally didn't have a great shooting game against them as well, so um, there's always another opportunity to get better and respond. And I'm glad that we played such great teams early in the year because it is able to show our weaknesses. And when we're able to figure out our weaknesses at an early time, it's going to set us up better for later on in postseason play, which is when it really, really matters. So again, like we obviously want to win every single game and we want to have a really good seed going into Henderson. But if we continue to just chip away, as I was saying earlier, we have a good senior group and then we have a really young group. We kind of don't really have an in between. So if we continue to just learn more about ourselves and expose our weaknesses but learn from them and not being afraid to kind of look them in the eye and be like, all right, like let's figure this out, let's fix this, even though sometimes it may suck. Um, that's the mindset that we need to have going into playing these great opponents. But we're so close, and that's the thing too. With looking back at the first times we played them, we were so close. There was so many moments for us to capitalize and go on a run, but we just didn't make the right play in the right moment. So that's also an IQ thing and playing together. But again, we have a pretty tough schedule and we're seeing such great teams really early on. But I would rather learn about our weaknesses now and work on them so that we're ready for the second half of Big West play in postseason rather than playing them super late and then we get exposed super late and there's not enough time to grow.
Well said. I'm ready to run through a wall. Let's do
There we
this.
go. Me too.
Well, let's get, before your time expires here, let's get Mott looking like this. This was Saturday, the
I
men's Santa
know.
Barbara Cal Poly game. If we can get something similar for the Gauchos women's game in late February, or heck, I mean, come on, UC Irvine defending Big West tournament champs coming to
Yep.
town this weekend. Obviously, it helps to have that home crowd behind you. Annika, we could go for another 20 minutes, but I really appreciate your time and. Great to kind of learn some of these things beyond basketball about you and kind of show those things to the fan base because you've become a fan favorite in your time here at Cal Poly. And certainly we hope you have a lot more basketball ahead of you. Thanks again.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Always appreciate time with you, Chris.
This has been the Mustang Insider Show. The preceding has been a Learfield's presentation on the Cal Poly Sports Network.